welcome to the first ever Education Station podcast.
Whoop.
Here we go. You know, look, some people ask why we do this shit. Well, because we didn't have enough content. So, Education Station. This is the first ever Education Station podcast. We're going to have a lot of fun because I've got my entire team here, the advisor education team. Shelly is covering the Eastern region, and Chase is covering the Central region. Helps me a little bit with the West. And we're going to talk about a lot of things over time. But this is something we decided it was time to bring another show. Number one, because I'm an OG and I don't have my own show. Come on, man. Anyway, we're excited. So,
and
guys,
we love to talk.
Oh, you think? Yeah. By the way, I hired both of them because they like to talk. That's kind of what we do. Anyway, all right, let's get down to business, right? One of the things we're going to talk about several things over time, right? It's the advisor education story is all about Education Station. We had a little fun with the name, as you can see, but it's going to be talking about diligence. We're going to do things about marketing, how to tell the story, how to present some of the different topics like risk management and many others, and just growing a business in this new modern world. So content be king, and that's where we're at. Let's take the next step. We're talking about our first podcast, and the first thing that we want to talk about is something that we are now calling Insight by Potomac. Right? We've done brought a number of different tools to the table, and we're pretty excited about this one. First and foremost, because the big issue everybody has is time management. Shelly, I want to toss it to you. I know you found a cool a reference or quote about time management. You want to share that one with everybody?
I do. And I, just for the record, am a productivity junkie. So it's no surprise that I went to the whole time management thing on how to make advisory simple. And essentially what some of these studies found is that about 82% of people actually don't have a time management strategy. They're either using their inbox to control their day or a list. Maybe it's hang on, I got props, a sticky note. And so anyways, one of the reasons why we wanted to bring together Insight is we know that there's a time saving and a productivity factor in play, and anything we can do to help the advisors in their business to simplify things, we're going to do it.
Right. And so the nuts and bolts about this is it's a centralized education system, right? It's a place to come and get a lot of different details so that you don't have to waste time trying to find it. That said, Chase, what is, I know you've worked in an advisor office even along with the back office and so forth. What was one of the most common things that you found a need for in the advisor office environment?
I think one thing when you're running client meetings, we all know just one question or one fact that they may discover throws a whole scenario off. So you're planning for A and B, and all of a sudden you need to divert and go to plan C, and maybe you didn't prep that way. So I think having that consolidated location where you can just quickly go to obtain fact sheets, information about the strategist, instead of having to log into 4 or 5 different websites or your databases, you can have it all consolidated section. I think that'd be a major play to improve some advisors' day-to-day life, and more importantly, probably I would say the assistant's day, generally, because that's
Touche.
Sure.
Touche. Yeah. Anytime we can make assistants love us, we are in like Flynn, man. Well, one of the things, being a diligence nut, one of the things that jumps out to me that most advisors don't think about is that they do have a responsibility from a regulatory standpoint of having that fiduciary responsibility to go understand what their managers are doing, how they do it, what their performance is, all those kinds of things. And that's one of the real issues, right? If you use 5 or 6 different strategists, you have to be able to get to that stuff. So whether it be a state auditor or an SEC auditor, that could be really handy to not be just absolutely going gangbusters on a keyboard trying to figure out, let's see, what's the website for that one? What's the website for this one? Instead, being able to turn on and give access to something like that. So, to say, hey, here's what I do, here's where I go. And that question will move right on. They'll move right on past it. So on that note, we want to answer a simple question, which is, what would you do with 5 extra hours a week? Shelly, you have any ideas?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. As a mom of 2 young kids, my life revolves pretty much around playing mom taxi and other things. So what I would do with 5 extra hours is spend maybe an hour or so a day, just reaching out to people that I don't get a chance to talk to. Or if I'm on the phone with them, I'm constantly getting little people asking me questions. So some uninterrupted quality time with friends, maybe even call my grandma. That's what I would do.
There you go. I like that. I like that.
So,
Chase,
yep.
you got any skinny there?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm gonna go the same route you went, Shelly. I'm actually a pretty new parent. My little one's 2 months old, so I mean, like the good parent to me, it's like, oh, extra 5 hours. Like I want to devote it all to him. But then, like I kind of miss my old lifestyle. Being just leaving the house whenever or not having to plan outside of our dog. You do miss that like freedom essentially. So. I'll probably
I
devote 2.5, and call it good.
okay. I cry bullshit. 5 hours, you're sleeping, bro. That's
Or I could maybe work out because I never seem to find time for that. So maybe
yeah,
then 5 more hours
yeah.
we
We'll
can
go
devote
with
some time
that.
to that. But
All right.
we can always
Well,
help
let's
though.
No, wait,
let's
Jeff,
get back
what
to.
about you? What would you do with extra 5 hours?
I'm going fishing, man. That's
Hey,
easy.
I want
That's
to
easy.
point out a common theme. It's taking care of yourself. Whether
Yeah.
That's a
it's,
good one.
feeding your soul while you're feeding fish worms or something, or feeding your baby,
Yeah. No.
or
Jeez.
feeding a
Yeah.
friendship. Like it's all about being able to take care of yourself. So something
All
worth
right.
noting,
No,
I think.
that's a great point, Shelley. Appreciate it. So let me go ahead and actually toss it to you because one of the things we want to do as we get to kind of the main body of content here, what's the real benefit of Insight by Potomac, this centralized information database component? Why don't you just jump in and start talking to us about some of the benefits?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are so excited about this project because essentially, as we talked about just a minute ago, it's a one-stop shop. So I think of it as a way to give you your centralized diligence. So if the SEC or the auditors come through the door, you can pop into Insight and be able to grab due diligence information. You can also find out, and thank you, pulled up the screenshot of it. So what you're looking at here is essentially the main screen, no pun intended, because we are looking at main management.
Touche.
Main
Yeah, that was planned. You know that.
Oh, hey, I'm quick like that.
Yeah.
Some days depends on how much coffee. So within the main screen of the strategist page, for example, in here, you're going to be able to get access to our preferred model. So their fact sheet, their most recent fact sheet. You can easily link out to their website. You can grab their ADV, their privacy policy, and our due diligence questionnaire that we not only do initially, but also on an ongoing annual basis from a compliance perspective. So it is truly a one-stop shop. And to Chase's point, so your fact sheets are there. It's a very streamlined experience, and we're super excited to kind of launch this out to our advisors. And so that kind of takes us to, well, who is this built for? So Chase, I'll kind of throw it to you to go through that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we look at a little bit closer at just the strategist list, it can get pretty lengthy. But at the end of the day, we want to keep it nice and consolidated. Jeff is always saying if he ends his career with 50 to 60 to 70 strategists on board, then he did a poor job. So this list is, very condensed. It may grow over the time being. But this is what you're looking at. You got to think, how many different logins are you saving yourself? One thing I always found it pretty surprising is how hard it is to get the information, whether it's fact sheets or ADV. It's tucked into some layers, and it can just be, as we keep on going back to a time constraint. But that's one thing we're trying to eliminate. So that's one user. Another user is certainly our union users, and that's going to be a little bit more operational focus. And as you can see on the left hand side here, it's going to have different communities where it's going to be built out, and they can really just get the information that's relevant to them, and forget all the messy chaos that a lot of people try to throw at them.
Yeah, for sure. The consolidation is huge. And so we're going to pop up one more little screenshot here. Yeah, thank you. So you're looking at, it's organized. Think of it as all right, I'm going to date myself as an 80s and 90s kid who spent most of my life at a shopping mall. So think of it as a shopping mall. You got one place you go and park, and then you've got a plethora of stores to be able to explore for whatever you need. Well, we've curated the stores here, and we call them spaces, as in the for the insight piece. The spaces within the community are specific to the portfolio strategist that we recommend. Potomac strategies, of course, are going to be there, and we have an OCIO corner space. You're going to get market updates, webinars, timely trade notices. It is centralized to your feed. Now, we're going to be rolling it out in more detail. So for our advisors, please be on the lookout for that information coming to your inbox, and you'll have some more detailed information. But I think this pretty much hits the highlights. And the last thing I'll mention about this is you can actually book a meeting with any one of us from here directly. So if you're prepping for a client meeting, you're going here to grab your fact sheets, and you're like, you know what, I want to have just a quick conversation with my advisor education team. Click right there where it says book a meeting, and you're done. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, something, thanks, Shelly and Chase. Something that I do want to make sure that advisors who are engaged with Potomac understand. And when I say engaged with Potomac, you're using our strategies, whether it be on our Union UMA, whether it's direct, or whether you're going out and using them on some other platform like an Axiom or InvestNet or SmartX, et cetera, is that there is no extra cost. Once again, we're trying to be as transparent as we can. We're trying to help build business, make it easy for you to build business. And so there is no extra cost for that. It's included when you are engaged with Potomac. So pretty simple deal. And that's really, it's all about time saving. So on that note, the last time saving feature is that we'll actually send out an email on Thursdays that will give you, for those spaces that you have decided to participate in and get information on, we'll send you an email that'll list the latest things that particular strategist or multiple strategists have provided, whether that be webinar, marketing, fact sheet, whatever. So it's pretty cool. Again, helps keep you up to speed, up to snuff, if you will. And we'll go from there. So any other thoughts on Insight by Potomac, gang, before we jump into some recommendations?
No, I think the only thing we got to call out is Christopher's great demo that we're going to certainly mark the hell out of. And he's pretty proud of that pronunciation he's got going. So the full demo, I think he does a great job at it. And we'll certainly provide that.
Yeah, I think we're going to put the link to that in the show notes. So
yeah,
after everybody watches this awesome podcast, then and only then they can actually go down below and click and go watch the demo and see more detail about Insight. All right, so Chase, what do you got for recommendations, buddy? What's the hit for today?
Yeah, I'm actually going to call a little bit of a audible here. I know what Shelly mentioned, the self-care, and that was kind of got me thinking that one podcast I think is a great one for everyone to tune into is called the Huberman Lab podcast. And Andrew Huberman, he is a professor at Stanford, and it's not really biohacking. He actually is not a big fan of that, but when it comes down to it, it comes down to it, I think, just the simplest way to put it. And it's just about how being more efficient at life, how to get the most out of your sleep, how to get the most out of your studying, if that applies to you. And, my wife hates it. It may be a little dry, but I always think it's valuable content. It's reliable content, which is such a valuable resource right now. So it stays away from all the political nonsense. And it's pretty good to tune into yourself and learn a little bit more about, how can you be a better version of yourself.
I like it. Good audible, man. Good audible. Okay, Shelly, fire away.
I'm noting that one for sure. So my recommendation is a protein bar. And here's why. It's called True Bar Protein Bars. I stress eat, and it's always going to be chocolate. And so if I can find something that's chocolate that can fill that fix and not be like total junk, because I'm not going to lie, I've been into the Halloween candy so far. We may need to make another trip to the store, but that's another day, right? So True Bar protein bars, it's all plant-based, like 12 grams of protein. And my kids love donuts. They have like this donut flavor that's really good. So I can even sneak some like healthy sweet to them. It's women owned. They are very focused on elevating women in leadership. And so I just love it. It's tasty, and good job, Costco, for carrying it.
All right.
Costco's
that's even better. Yeah,
That can
it's
be a
it's a
recommendation
Costco
there
gig.
too.
Well, we switch every couple of years. We switch from Sam's to Costco. So
Oh,
it's
Costco all
about
day
time for
long.
us to change. All right. That said, I'll throw mine out there, and that is explorethevillage.com. Some of you may know I've been moving all over creation forever. Now we're actually in one spot while we attempt to start getting a house built. And it's just, I gotta love it down here so much. We've been waiting to get here, watching the deer walk out right behind the house. The 12th green of one of the golf courses is in our backyard here. You can go play golf. Yeah, I know I shared a picture of some of the toys, right? The mountain bikes, the fishing kayak, the golf cart, all that fun stuff. It's just a great place to be out in the forest with all the lakes and golf courses and what have you, and enjoy that sort of me time, right? That space away from the hustle and bustle. So if you want to take a long Airbnb excursion or long weekend sort of thing, play some golf, 9 golf courses, 11 lakes. What can you do, man? It's cool. So that's
Nice.
it. On that note, Education Station podcast number 1. I think that is a wrap, boys and girls. And
Peace
so
out.
on that note, we will
Everyone.
join you again at a later date with more exciting, fun stuff to talk about. Peace.
Choo choo.